Baba speaks to his children who are knowledgeful, because when we come to Baba, we receive the knowledge from Baba, the knowledge of who I am, the knowledge of time, the knowledge of Baba. And then Baba every day speaks to his knowledgeful children. And today Baba is again underlining that this is our most elevated birth. We are Brahmins now. So you see that we have been given the knowledge of time by Baba. And time is, just like there is karma, there is Baba. So in spirituality, we understand the power of God. So what is the power of God? So the biggest power God has is He is the purifier. So you see there are 32 qualities of Baba that are described in a picture, and that is the power of Baba. So apart from Baba, nobody knows the three aspects of time. Baba is the ocean of knowledge. Baba is the purifier. Baba is the remover of sorrow. Baba is the liberator. Baba is the creator of heaven. So we understand all these things when we come to Baba. And we have the knowledge of Baba. So, in the world, people remember God, but they don't know the power of God. And because they don't know the power of God, they don't take, the benefit of the power of God, or they are unable to take the benefit of the power of God. So Baba tells us about the power of God. Then Baba tells us about the power of karma. So, Baba tells us that as you sow, so shall you reap. So we have heard this earlier also, but now we understand that if you do nothing, you get nothing, or if you do what you've always done, you get what you've always got. And then Baba also teaches us, the theory of sinful action, elevated action, and neutral action. So we understand the power of karma, how, so in the last 2 days, Murli, Baba had been underlining that you are suffering the suffering of your karma. Yes, and Baba says that when you come to Ravan Rajya, then the karma that you do makes you suffer. So you see, karma done in body consciousness can make us suffer. So that is the power of karma. And then karma done on the directions of Shiv Baba on Srimad, they can make us the master of the world of happiness. So we understand the power of karma and the knowledge of karma through Baba. And then there is another very important knowledge that Baba gives us, and that is the knowledge of time. So Baba gives us the knowledge of time that, in the first two yugas, in the first 8 births in Satyug and 12 births in the Treta Yuga, the time is, it is the time for happiness. It is the time for reaping the fortune that we created in the last cycle. And we do that, and it is the time to play our divine part in the world of divinity, in the world of happiness. And we do that. Then from the copper age to the iron age, it is the time to fall. It is the time to come under the sway of Ravan and create vikarma and then we do that, and then it's a world of sorrow, and we reap the fruit of that sorrow, fruit of that vikarma that we did under Ravan's influence. And then Baba tells us this is the time, the only time in the whole cycle when we, the souls, belong to Baba. And this is the only godly birth that we have. The only time when we receive sustenance from Baba. The sustenance of knowledge, the sustenance of virtues, powers, everything. And Baba also today in one line says, this is your most elevated body. So, although you have taken 84 bodies and in the beginning you had pure bodies, but still Baba would say that this is your most elevated body. Now, there is nothing elevated about this body, but what is it that makes Baba say that this is the most elevated body? Or, although there is disease and fatigue and everything in the body, but Baba says this is the most elevated body because this is the only body in which you make effort. And Baba says this is the only time in which you have contact, or you have a relationship, or you have knowledge of the purifier Baba. So this is the only time to purify yourself. This is the only time to fill yourself with the jewels of knowledge. This is the only time to create your fortune. And you see, just like every point of knowledge has to sit in our buddhi so that it can become a dharana, it can become something I've imbibed and I live by or put into action. Similarly, the knowledge of this time also, that this is the only time when I can meet Baba, I can remember Baba, I can purify myself, I can fill myself with all treasures from Baba, I can fill my aprons with the jewels of knowledge that Baba gives. This is the only time to burn my sins. This is the only time to create my fortune. And Baba says there are very few children in whose buddhi this knowledge of time sits. And what will be the sign of those children whose buddhi has, understood that this is the most elevated, auspicious time of our whole journey? So those children will take the benefit of this time. And the sign of those children will be that they will drink the nectar of knowledge. Their buddhi will not wander. Yes, so they will not waste their time and thought in thinking about matters of this perishable world, or their buddhi will not, their buddhi will understand that this is not the time to waste time. This is the time to create fortune. So their intellects will not wander. This is a very important sign of those children who understand the importance of time. And then they will, so there are many children of Baba who just try to contain their buddhi or try to stop their buddhi from wandering. But if your consciousness is the same, your actions will be the same. And even the wandering of the buddhi will not stop until you understand the value of time. You see, when students are studying in school, then they will keep, engaged and busy in many things. Their buddhi will always be wandering. But once they understand that I have to study and create a fortune for myself, then their buddhi won't wander. And suddenly, that same child who you thought has lack of concentration will start studying with 100% concentration. So it's not about the capacity of the buddhi, it's about the understanding of the importance of what time is it and what do I have to do in this time. And Baba says, when you understand that, then the wandering of your buddhi will stop, and then you will pay a lot of attention to drinking nectar. So, do you understand that this is nectar that Baba is making us drink? So, whether it is knowledge or it is Baba's remembrance, it is nectar that you're drinking. And in the scriptures, it is said that those who drink nectar become immortal. So, they will not die. And Baba says, you see, by drinking this nectar of remembrance or knowledge, you will go to the world where there is no concept of death. So, it will feel like a change in costume. And Baba says that you will pay attention to drinking nectar. You will pay attention to finishing the 63 births of the habit of body consciousness by practicing being soul conscious. So, all the time you will pay attention to being soul conscious because you understand what body consciousness is doing to you. Yes, every Brahmin understands. Can you understand how your whole attitude, your choices, they all change as soon as you slip into body consciousness? Yes, so body consciousness makes you forget knowledge, makes you forget Baba, makes you forget the aim. So, and it makes you slip into ordinariness or, wasteful actions. So, a soul who has understood the importance of time and understood how, body consciousness makes you fall, they will make effort to finish the habit of body consciousness by practicing soul consciousness. And Baba says this is the sign of knowledgeful children. And Baba says that in this whole world, everybody is saying that, we want to go back. And everybody wants to be free from sorrow. But how can you be free from sorrow until you purify yourself? Because, your reality cannot change until and unless your state changes. So, your inner stage is the foundation of your external reality. So, if you want to shift from the world of sorrow to the world of peace and happiness, Baba has given us the knowledge. And do you understand that nobody knows this? That purity is the foundation of peace and happiness. So until we purify ourselves, we cannot go back neither to the world of, neither to our sweet home nor to the world of happiness. Now Baba says, okay, I can do this much, that I can purify you through punishment and then I can take you back home. But you cannot go to Satyug with punishment. So you have to purify yourself with effort if you want to claim a good position in Satyug. So Baba says, or in heaven, so Baba says, everybody has to make effort to purify themselves, and the only effort is remembrance. Yes, so if you don't, if you don't remember Baba and then don't walk on the path of Srimat, then you cannot get purified. So Baba says those children who are knowledgeful, they will always pay attention to following Baba's Srimat, remembering Baba, and then purifying themselves. And there are many children who don't make effort. So they don't, every day Baba says, remember me. But there are many children who don't make that effort. And that's because they don't understand. It doesn't sit in their intellect about that, this is our most elevated birth and we have to create a fortune now. And it is now or never. That's why you're not making effort. And then Baba says, those who realized that you are earning, the soul is accumulating, the soul is, receiving. And you see, if you just sit in remembrance, you experience that you are earning, don't you? Yes. So, I remember there was this one sister, she came into Gyan and very new she was, and she shared a very beautiful experience with me. She said, Didi, in the beginning, I didn't know how to consider myself to be a soul or how to remember Baba, or I didn't understand a lot. So I just, there were 7, 8 lines that I kept repeating to myself, that I am peaceful, I'm loveful, and Baba is showering me with peace, and I'm tolerant, I'm bigger than my problems. And then she said, Didi, that also worked magically. Because, when somebody is completely empty, then even a drop makes you feel full. Have you seen that when you're so thirsty, even when you have one sip of water, it makes such a lot of difference. And then you realize, that this is water and you cannot substitute that water with anything. You can drink, milk, tea, anything, but it will not quench your thirst. The thirst will be quenched with water. And Baba says, my remembrance and this knowledge, this is like food for the soul. This is the thing that will, cleanse you, fill you, make you content, make you, satisfy your hunger. Everything will happen through this. So Baba says, just remember me. And Baba says that, those who are businessmen, they will not mind going in the night and selling their goods until the pocket of the client is empty. Why? Because they know that they are earning and they will do it in happiness. So Baba says, you also have to understand that whenever you are sitting in remembrance or whenever you are churning knowledge, then you are filling yourself with imperishable jewels or imperishable attainments and income. And Baba says, one should never say that I don't find time for this, or I don't find interest in this, or I get tired. No, you can't say that, because this is how the soul earns. And Baba says that you should have that sensibility. Now you see, if somebody gets tired earning money, you would say, what a fool that person is. Now Baba says, similarly, you cannot say that, we are knowledgeful children. We cannot say that we get tired in remembering Baba, or tired in churning knowledge, or I can't do it. So these are not choices that knowledgeful children make. And then Baba today also tells us something very interesting, that, in this, we are in this most elevated birth. And we have understood that we can only go back when we purify ourselves through Baba's remembrance and through following Baba's Srimad, and then walking on the path of purity. And then Baba says, there are many, when you start choosing this, there are many obstacles. Yes, we all face obstacles. So, obstacles from our own sanskars, from other people around, and then, the society in general. There are so many obstacles, because impurity is the world order right now. So, when you choose purity, when you choose a yogi life, then nobody is going to give that to you on a platter, and people will cause obstacles. Now, Baba tells us that when that happens, some children will say, Baba, how long do I have to suffer like this? So just take us back, okay? So then Baba says, I have come to take you back, but I can only take you back when you're pure. And you have to make effort to become pure. I cannot take you back just like that. And for that, Baba says, use the power of tolerance. Yes. And you see, we have been given many powers by Baba. the power to face, the power to discern, the power of purity, the power of detachment, the power of, the power to tolerate, the power to put a full stop, the power to be soul conscious. There are so many powers that Baba gives us. Now, Baba tells us that you use every power, okay? But when nothing works, just tolerate. Use the power to tolerate. Now, you see, today Baba says that even if you get beaten up, okay, tolerate that. Now, Baba doesn't say that you invite beating and then tolerate it, or you welcome that. No. You see, every soul has karmic accounts, and Baba says, you see, there are some challenges you can face through courage. So I'll tell you one thing. There was this one Mata, and her husband was very controlling and very, he wouldn't give her money if she stayed pure, and he would say, just get out of my house and this and that. And then this Mata, she had never replied back to the husband. So then she just one day she stopped following his orders, and she showed courage. So in her case, it was fear, okay, which was the problem, and then courage settled the karmic account. And then when she just stood up for herself, the husband took a step back, and after that he didn't say anything. So this was one way in which she settled the karmic account. So sometimes you need just a little courage. Sometimes you need the power to face. Sometimes, so that has its foundation in courage. Sometimes you need detachment. Sometimes it's your own attachment, and because of that you are thinking too much about what the other person is thinking. You are feeling too much about how upset and how annoyed and how angry they are. So there you need the power of purity. You need to purify yourself. And the more you sit in yoga, the more you overcome the attachment that you have inside, which is making you cling on to the other person's emotions and behaviors and everything. That karmic account will be settled, and that person will have no influence over you. But Baba says there are some karmic accounts in which you are not able to discourage the other person through any means. Yes, somebody, whether it's about your own personality or the other person or your circumstances or whatever, and then that person has that, they have that power to tie you up and beat you. That is a very big karmic account. Yes, how many people in the world are in such a vulnerable position that another person has the authority to tie them up and beat them? Yes, not everybody. So if that is a karmic account in somebody's case, then Baba says use the power to tolerate, but don't even if you get beaten up, don't retrace your steps back into impurity or into not following Baba's Srimad. And Baba gives a very beautiful example today. Baba says, when somebody is hung at the gallows, then also, they are told, remember God. They are not told to remember any Christ or Buddha or anybody or Sri Krishna or anything. They are told to remember that Supreme One, that Almighty. And it doesn't matter what you had to deal with. At the end, you see, it doesn't even matter whether you were hung to death. If you could be in remembrance of Baba at that time, you will get the inheritance in future. So, people are very concerned about what they had to go through, or, how they died, or, when they died. But Baba says, all that matters is, what was your stage? Yes, whatever you had to go through also will not matter if your stage is very powerful, just think about, the people who choose to be a part of the defense, the defense services, and they deal with so much of adversity by choice, and then you don't even feel like pitying them. Do you ever feel like, poor he or poor she, they are tolerating so much? No. Because their stage is so powerful that you feel proud of them. So, Baba says, whatever you have to go through, if it's your karmic account, Baba doesn't say choose it. Nobody should choose to be beaten up. If you can use courage, if you can use knowledge, if you can use any step, then don't allow anybody to beat you up. But if you are in such a position that nothing can be done, so there was this one Kanya, and she used to, so when she used to come to the center, her father used to lock her up in the room. And she said that there is no way I can stop him. So then I told her, okay, then you sit and meditate in the room. So if you can't stop the father from locking you up, what else do you do? You sit and meditate in the room, and then he would take away all her gadgets, her computer, her laptop, her this phone, everything, and he wouldn't even allow her to listen to a commentary or a class. So then she just sat and meditated, and 30 days she did that. And then her father got fed up because that was a nuisance, every day locking her up and then worrying and then coming and freeing her. So then he stopped. And then he said, go wherever you want, just don't return. So then she did that also, went and returned. And then she said, now you stop me, shout in front of everybody. So then, ultimately she won. So this is a karmic account, and you have to, if somebody is in such a position that they can lock you up, or, if that is the power equation between two people, this is a karmic account. And it's not because of, lack of purity, or lack of, courage or something else. If it's that, you just imbibe that and free yourself. But if it's a karmic account, then you have to settle it through tolerance. And Baba says, if you do that, then you will get your inheritance by tolerating it. And then Baba today says something very interesting in this case. So, sometimes you feel that, okay, my part is to go to Satyug, and my part is to, but what is the reason why somebody would, what is their part that, they would torture a BK who belongs to Baba? And how will, what is that karmic journey? It's what is the logic behind that? And Baba tells us something very nice. He says, the urn of sin has to fill. And when God's children are troubled, then the urn of sin gets filled. So, those souls who are on the other side, who will fill their urn of sins by engaging in these kinds of actions, they will bring the destruction closer through that. And Baba says, just see that all this part has to go on right now, and use your power to tolerate. And when you use your power to tolerate, nothing is a big deal. I will tell you one thing. I have experimented, although I cannot say 100%, but I have experimented that the soul has a lot of capacity to deal with physical pain also. It's not just emotional pain or, financial pain, but the soul has a lot of capacity to tolerate physical pain. Only if you fill yourself with yoga power. So Baba says that if you tolerate, nothing is a big deal. Yes. And then today Baba tells us something very interesting. Baba says that, there's a lot of attraction towards gold, silver, and, diamonds. And Baba says that this is because you lived in a world where the palaces were built of gold, silver, and diamonds. Yes, and you see, sometimes This is a very interesting thing that, in the world, so in economics, it is said that, there are some things which you value because of their utility. Okay? And some things you value just like that. No utility. Yes? So, what is the utility of a diamond? Nothing. Think about the utility of water. Water is so useful, right? But water is cheap, free. And think about the utility of a diamond, zero. But it is so costly. And why is it so? So, why do people value something so much which has no utility? So, people value something only because of use, or because it is, it is something that's attached to a good memory. Something that's like, when you talk about ancient things, then you attach it to your culture and heritage. So you value them. Similarly, why do we attach so much of value to gold and diamond and everything? So Baba says, because you lived in that world of gold and diamonds. So it reminds you, it makes you feel that same happiness which you had in that world. When you see these things, use these things. And you see, mind thinks by association. This is a very important law, that mind thinks by association. So, so have you seen that people who, I remember there was this very wealthy person, and he was so wealthy, he ate in silver utensils. And then he once went to his village, and then in his village, he ate in those utensils made of mud, clay. And he felt that happiness which he did not feel in this silverware dining. And why? Because as a child, he used to live in that village and eat in those clay utensils. So he remembered the happiness of his childhood. So, the mind thinks by association, what you have done at one time and what you have felt while doing that. When you do the same thing now, you will feel that same happiness, although there is no logic to it. Okay, so Baba says, when you see gold and silver and diamonds, you like it because they remind you of the golden age. And you see, I will tell you one interesting thing that I have noticed. So there are some people, when they come to the center, they love the red light. They will love the red light. They will love Baba's songs. They will love Baba's music. And there are some who will just, not like the red light. They will feel scared of the red light, or, they will feel like, this is not, they will associate it with something else, or, they will just not feel okay with Baba's songs and music. And so that means they don't have a memory of feeling the sweetness of Baba's love in this environment. You only like something if there is a sweet memory associated with it, although you don't remember the memory. And you dislike something because 5,000 years there's a bad memory associated with it. So this is the thing that Baba points out today, and it was very interesting because this was something new. So I thought we would revise that. So remember the importance of time, the importance of tolerance when nothing else works, and then remember why you like or dislike something. Okay, Om Shanti. Anybody wants to share anything, please do.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Today Baba asked us to be engaged in our homework and stop wandering our intellects here and there.
Yes.
And what I have written few points from today's movie about Satopradhan Buddhi. That Satopradhan Buddhi will remember only one, the highest and the most elevated.
Correct.
And wandering of intellect is stopped when we become Satopradhan Buddhi. It will shift from inside to outside.
No, outside to inside.
outside to inside.
You will become antarmukhi, right?
Yeah,
Outside to inside.
now we are getting influenced, and
Huh.
then we will perform from inside to outside.
So it is inside out. So you have shifted on the inside
Okay.
first, right? Right.
Okay.
Okay.
And surrendering oneself to truth creates a powerful shield. We remain uninfluenced.
Correct.
And we become sensible enough to choose and decide which is the best thing to do. Till now we understand and we try to do the best, but choosing is better.
Choosing needs
Therefore,
power. Yes.
yes.
Okay.
And about world when factor also Baba said
Yes.
that it should be light and easy
Yes.
for words and action.
Yes. Thank you. Om
Thank you.
Shanti.
Om Shanti Didi.
Om Shanti.
Baba says, while claiming your inheritance, don't allow your intellects to wander. So the formula to stop the intellect to wander is like we already have two eyes, but Baba gave us the third eye of wisdom. So wherever my intellect goes, it should follow along with the knowledge of the Gyan.
Yes.
So it knows where it has to go and where it has to stop.
Right. So knowledge gives direction to the intellect. Okay. Om Shanti.